time for the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
That broadcast school has really paid off.
And Christian Peck-Dimit.
Do you want to keep this job? Shut up, listen, learn.
The region's only local sports talk show, discussing it all from the preps to the pros.
What time is it?
Simulcasting on AM 730 Fox Sports Tri-State, streaming online at nwksradio.net and the Rockingham app.
They are everywhere.
The Blitz is presented by the Insurance Agency, the Farmer State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
Payoff. On the crowd, center field base hit. North Carolina leads.
Little flare down the line, and that's fair, and it gets by a diving Riley Boone. Falby, one of the fastest in the game. They're going to send her home. Kendra Falby touches all four of them. Inside the park home run for Kendra Falby.
Guerrera, high fly ball. Going. Gone. There's the bunt. It's laid down by Maloney. Kennedy to the plate. Washington is hung up now. Washington charging toward home. Texas safe. Texas takes the lead. High fly ball. Deep center field. Way back. And gone. Pinch hits. Walk off. Diamondbacks win.
Hey, good Tuesday morning, everybody. We're back on the Morning Blitz on 102.5 U-Rock, AM 730 Fox Sports Tri-State. Of course, also online, nwksradio.net, the Rocking M app. And, of course, video streaming also available, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. So glad you're with us on a Tuesday. Little overcast, at least here in Gillino. Some rain in some other spots. I saw, little decent rain over there near Oberlin here this morning. I was laying in bed this morning, Christian. I was looking at this. So the National Weather Service always does these little things on social media. They had this picture of like the last, 7 to 10 days of rainfall, right? And it had, here's where people got, 2 inches. Here where people got 1 inch. Here's where people had no inches. And Goodland was a perfect little square. Right around Goodland has gotten 0 rain over the last 7 to 10 days. Made me chuckle.
What do you guys call it?
The Goodland Gap is what we have named it. The Goodland Gap has struck us many times where the rain has just not come through the city of Goodland. It's gone around us, It's gone around us. Like there's St. Francis and Oberlin and Atwood. Those even Colby's gotten some decent rain. I think Hoxie's kind of in the same boat. They haven't gotten a ton of rain as of late. So, but the Goodland Gap is what we've dubbed it here out in the Goodland, Kansas. Don't get any rain in the Goodland Gap.
I'll tell you what, this morning along the lines of weather, I woke up and usually the first, if not one of the first things I do is open up that weather app, just check, how we're doing, what we're looking at today, tomorrow. For whatever reason, when I woke up this morning, the weather app was set to my hometown in Michigan.
Yeah,
not Colby. So I didn't notice. So there was about 30 seconds there where I was worried. A, the fact that it was only a high of like 70 today, and then B, the fact that there were thunderstorms expected tomorrow, and that's my day on severe weather. So thankfully that neither of those things are the case, and instead we have some thunderstorms expected in the next hour or so here in Colby. And it's a high of 93 tomorrow. So.
It's going to be toasty tomorrow, and that could lead to some stormage. So just be prepared for that. Stormage is not a word. It was completely made up. All right.
Okay.
We got a fun show ahead for you today, at least here in about 15 to 20 minutes. Joining us in studio will be the one, the only Lincoln Cure. He will join us in studio. We will talk with him about the experience that he has. We're only going to get him for about 20 to 30 minutes, depending on when he gets here. Very, very, very busy young man with weights going on right now. They have football camp going on this week for Goodland. So he's a very busy man. He's able to squeeze in a little bit of time, along with, of course, his recruitment that continues to go on for Lincoln Cure. But he'll be joining us live in studio today to talk about just the whole process that has been his recruitment. It'll be it'll have to be a real cram session in 30 minutes, but we'll do the best that we can to get as much in as we can. But he'll join us for the back half of the show. We'll tell you what happened with regional baseball and in the Women's College World Series as well. We're down to 3 teams in the Women's College World Series, which is kind of odd. We should have been down to 2, but weather has delayed that a little bit down there in Oklahoma City. And Super Regionals are set. A few upsets yesterday in college baseball as well. We'll get to that in just a little bit. The Rockies were the only Major League Baseball team in action. They did lose last night. They got thumped at home by the Reds, 13-3. Some unfun facts is the way I'll put this.
We did need to stop calling them fun facts.
Yeah, the unfun facts for the Colorado Rockies last night. Colorado pitching was lit up for 18 hits last night. There were 6 different Reds batters that had a multi-hit game, meaning they had at least 2 hits or more. So 6 of the 9 had at least had a multi-hit game last night for the Reds. It was rough, 13-3. They get spanked at home. It was the 7th game also this year that the Rockies have been sorry, that was last game. Sorry. But they have struggled offensively. Brenton Doyle did have 3 hits of the Rockies' 9 hits. Brendan Rodgers did hit his 3rd home run of the season, but Rockies end up losing 13-3 to the Reds. They have lost, 3 now, 3rd in a row. That's right, 3 in a row now. And that series will continue tonight at 6:40 Mountain Time. And the Royals, who had the day off, they have as Christian has said before, huge opportunity ahead of them tonight with the Cleveland Guardians on the road in Cleveland, taking on the AL Central leaders. And that'll be a huge series to keep your eye on here over the next 3 nights.
It's a big one. At the same time, if you are a Royals fan, pump your brakes a little bit. It is one series in the early part of a very long season, so it's not a huge deal, but especially with KC slipping a touch here in the standings, it sort of comes at a key time, I think, in this early season. And yeah, you got to feel for the Rockies, whether it's Tovar, who wasn't obviously on yesterday, or Doyle, or whoever it is, Diaz sometimes. They always seem to get one guy who's just hitting the cover off the ball and no one else can touch it. And of course, their pitching has been probably the worst in the majors this year so far.
You have the stats, Paul. Can you pull the lineup there for Feltner last night? I think it was Ryan Feltner.
Feltner started. He picked up his 5th loss. He's 1-5 now. Pitched 4 1/3 innings. Gave up 10 of the 18 hits, 8 of the 13 runs. All of them earned 3 Ks, and he did give up a homer. 73 pitches through 4 1/3 inning, which actually isn't terrible considering the number of hits he gave up. But yeah, the pitching is sort of what you expected to be your Achilles heel, but it's sort of your whole Achilles lower body if you're Colorado.
Yeah, not been great. So there you go. A quick Major League Baseball update. I wanted to actually dive into a couple of interesting pieces of audio that I've heard here over the last couple of days with the NCAA baseball tournament. So we all know that the NCAA and college athletics are going through a massive change in how it is done. And there were a couple pieces of audio that just completely caught my ears here over the last couple of days. First and foremost was 2 nights ago, retiring head baseball coach at Coastal Carolina. Gary Gilmore is his name for those who don't know. He's a guy who's been at Coastal Carolina for a long time, just a good old boy from South Carolina that coaches baseball. And he has taken a program that was nothing, really, into being a national championship winner in 2016, into being a collegiate, I would say, power, a team that is certainly a team that is usually in the postseason every single year and competing for a chance to go to Omaha. And Gary Gilmore and his post-game press conference after his team lost at Clemson, of course, he's done, he's retiring. He let the whole world know what he thought about NIL. And I wanted to NIL and how it's impacting college athletics. This is the first piece of audio I wanted to get to. Once again, this is Coastal Carolina head baseball coach who's now retired, Gary Gilmore, postgame on Sunday.
Had a system where everyone was a free agent every year. You even realize what chaos would be? It would go away. You wouldn't have those 3 sports. if you did, baseball, it'd be the Yankees, the Red Sox, the Dodgers, Texas, and the rest of the teams couldn't compete because they would spend every amount of money they needed to spend to do it. And that's what's going on right now. Yeah, I mean, there's not a level playing field. It's just ridiculous for me. Much as I'm going to miss the kids, and I'm going to miss the heck out of them, dealing with that mess, I'm telling you right now. I mean, the fact that there are teams in college baseball giving $2+ million of NIL money away. I mean, come on, man. It's just, a real system would be one where they get a little bit of money, but then they put money in trust to this and that, so that you have like the horror stories you see in the NFL and in different places. Major League Baseball gets big signing bonuses, and boom, 5-10 years later they're broke. They don't have a dime. They don't have an education. They don't have anything. I mean, there has to be a better way. It's not just who can raise the most money and give it away. There has to be a better way, because, like I said, professional sports would go in the toilet in a hurry if we use this system. I mean, this is me as a college coach. This is what I have to deal with. You can sign your returning players to a scholarship which binds you to them, but they can come around in July and go, I'm going to go in the portal. I'm up in the Cape and somebody's going to give me a big NIL deal, and you were held accountable, coach. You had to honor that scholarship you gave me, but now I'm going to go in the portal and leave you hanging. That's a messed up system. I hope somebody fixes it. I'm be honest with you, that part I'm going to enjoy that, to be very honest with you.
All right, let's go to the.
Once again, Gary Gilmore is the head baseball coach of Coastal Carolina, talking about the world that we live in now with the NIL and the portal. He made some really good points in that whole deal that maybe you don't think about. But once again, if you think about it, with the transfer portal, guys can just come and go. The biggest thing that I took away from that was at the back end of the deal. Think about this. You sign a kid to an athletic scholarship, being any institution. Let's just say it's Kansas State, for example. You sign a kid there. Well, someone gets in this kid's ear, and so you're bound to have that scholarship saved for them. And you are bound to keep that scholarship for them. But they can come to you at any point in time, doesn't matter when, any point in time, and say, I'm getting out of the portal. I'm going into the portal because I've got a bigger deal. I've got bigger money and things like that coming your way. And so I'm going to leave your program. And there's no way. It is a complete one-sided street where universities are having to hold up their end of the bargain, but all the power is on the players. And I'm not saying that the players shouldn't have any power, but we've gone to having no power for the players to having way too much power for the players in just a short amount of time.
Yeah, we've swung too far, so to speak, with the pendulum the other way. And obviously the trouble now is, when will it swing back? And if so, will it swing back too far the other way again? And do we make this it's to a point where the logical answer to this seems to be something that we've been talking on this show about one way or the other for a while now, which is, at what point do you take that extra step off the cliff, or squeeze that little bit of toothpaste, as Ross loves to say, out of the tube, and just make this fully free agency and have these kids sign genuine contracts when they get to each school, locking them into 1, 2, 3, 12 years. Obviously, 4 is the max. But if you have a red shirt, or if you get injured or something, do you sign longer contracts? How does that work? Regardless, do you put up all of those guardrails and make it fully signing these kids? I think step one in that direction came a couple of weeks ago, when that court ruled that, hey, these schools can simply pay the kids now as athletes. It'll be interesting to see if that leads to genuine free agency, but it sort of sucks that feels like the only logical answer at this point, is to fully make this a pro league. I think that's really upsetting to the likes of me and Ross and sort of the old heads
But why
sports.
would you want to have a league that's professional when you already have a professional league? That's the hard part.
I mean,
why do you want to have another
multiple
professional leagues?
Because you have the UFL and you have other
Right,
you
which
have
doesn't
other
draw
professional.
much.
No, it doesn't. But it's tough. Nobody wants it to be a professional league, but you've already taken the steps this far where you've got a screwed up system, and it seems like making it that is the only logical answer. I'm not saying that people were sitting around screaming and crying that college sports isn't a pro league. I don't think anyone wants it that way. I think playing for the name on the front of the jersey and not on the back, to quote a great movie, is maybe the idea that I think drew a lot of people into college sports. I don't think anyone wanted it to be a pro league, but this is sort of the place that we're at.
Oh, and there's no doubt it's where we're at. And I would agree with you 100% that, yes, that is where I think people still are. That's why they love it, because they think that these kids are playing for, like you said, more of the name on the front than on the back. And even though it's become more about the name on the back recently, they still believe that it's more about on the front, although that is changing every single day because of the amount of money and stuff that continues to get it poured in. I've heard lots of different conversations on this topic, and I know we continue to beat a dead horse, but I just find this to be a fascinating storyline. And to hear coaches and what they think about it when they get out of the game, like Nick Saban and other coaches that are just, think about the great coaches that have left.
Dabo Swinney.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Dabo, he's in the game.
There,
he's still there, but he's telling his point. You really hear what coaches think about it. And even though it's all the power to the players right at this point in time, I think the coaches really have a legitimate gripe. They absolutely have a legitimate gripe on that's gone too far. And I was even listening to some other stuff, another radio show, and they were talking about how, they thought when all this extra money came in from these TV deals, that they would take this money and they would continue to invest it in the student athlete. Maybe they would give the student athletes better health insurance. Maybe they would give them, of course, a little bit more money, a little bit more walking around spending money. Maybe they give them a little bit more money towards maybe an account that they could access later on in life instead of right now. Money going into that, as Gary Gilmore talked about it. So I like, that's what I know. One old football coach thought that it should be that way when there's going to be more money, and not just, hey, here's the money in the pay for play scenario. I mean, I can't imagine. I just continue to go back and think about if I'm a coach and I have a good player, not a great player, but a good player. And I'm just going to say it's baseball because we're in the baseball season, and they have a good college season, and they go off and they play in the Cape, which is one of the best summer ball leagues in America, if not the best. And while they're there, they run into some other kids who play for other programs and get them in touch with some booster. And the booster says, well, here, I'll write you a check for $500,000. Come play for us at whatever school. Guess what? I have a contract with my kid as a coach saying you need to be here. I have a scholarship saved for you. Yet you can come to me 2 weeks before school starts and say, Coach, I'm leaving. Thank you for the opportunity, but I'm going someplace else. And we don't have enough time to play this other audio. But there was another great audio piece of Elliott Avon, who's the head coach at NC State baseball. And he was talking about how it all went down between him and the East Carolina coach on a player from East Carolina that transferred to NC State. Elliott Avon is a friend of Coach Cliff Goodwin over at East Carolina. He called Coach Goodwin and said, look, your kid's in the portal. I would like your blessing to talk to him to come to my program. I don't want to take him, but if he's going to be in the portal, I would like to do that. Can you imagine that conversation? You're like taking a player off the best team, but the player's made the decision that he's leaving that program already. I mean, that's got to be such an awkward conversation and so frustrating for coaches. Absolutely
frustrating. Frustrating is, I think, the perfect word for coaches. But at the same time, I say this every time we have this discussion, and it's not just me playing devil's advocate. It really is. It's a tough thing for the coaches, for the programs, and there are rules that need to be fixed. But at the same time, in no way, shape, or form can you blame these kids for taking advantage of the opportunities presented to them just because you don't like the way the system is run. If I'm a kid that's especially not going to go play pro ball anywhere, why not go get an extra $50,000 to play the sport that I love, that I'm already going to play, if I'm going to be an insurance agent in 3 years? That's big time money for a lot of these kids. A little bit less so in baseball, where a whole roster is getting maybe $2 million in the max, whereas football, it's huge
Well, and
numbers.
that's where you have to start finding a way to making the playing field more even. Where, I've talked about it, where you have to limit the amount of money that you can give to any individual player,
like a salary cap. And then again, that's what I'm saying is almost all of the logical steps. That's what we opened this segment talking about. Almost all of the logical steps forward seem to make this into a semi-pro league.
Right.
Whether that's a good or a bad thing, we're in a situation now where I think that's the end result.
I think you can cap that money to where you're still going to make. Sorry. I think you can cap that money, though, where you can still make a decent money. Think about it. Think about this, Christian. When you started your career here at Rockingham, you weren't probably making as much as Chad Jones, the general manager. You were a starter. You were starting out. Guess what? It can apply to this too.
Yeah.
If you're a freshman and you go there and you may be good, but you're going to start out at a certain cap. You're only going to get paid a certain amount. And at every university, that's all they can offer. So the maximum a freshman can make is $50,000 a year, for example. That's the max that they can make. Okay. Sophomore year, guess what? That jumps to $100,000 that you can make. By senior year, you can make $1 million a year if you're really, really good and you want to hang around for that long and work on your college education and still get the grades and you fulfill the requirements, make $1 million. I don't see what's wrong with that. I see that being totally fair. That's how the world works. That's how the world works. When you start out at a company, something like that, you're probably not going to get the highest offered in payment. Some places, yes, but most of them, no.
No, I think that is honestly a good idea. I think the only problems you run into is, again, the guardrails on this system, because at the end of the day, what that does is for a chosen few, say Caitlin Clarks of the world that are going to go out and make not a billion, but a huge amount of money. Why would you limit their value? And the thing is, those are from NIL adjacent. Where you're not getting paid directly from the school. But the trouble is, and this is again why you need guardrails on this, there are deals where Ross Volkmer comes up to Christian Peck-Dimit and says, hey, I've got this great deal for you, $500,000. You got to, come film 2 commercials for me. Wow, what a great deal. I'm going to go do that. Hey, that number boosts up to $1 million if you come play for my alma mater, Nebraska. So there are tough ways that you have to regulate it.
Right.
But I think that you're on.
It can be done. It can be done.
It can
be done. And I don't care. NIL is fine with me. I don't have a problem with NIL. The pay for play is what I have a problem with. I don't care. If you are a well-known figure like Caitlin Clark at Iowa and you are drawing butts in seats and you are, a humongous figure in women's basketball and you want to make multi-million dollars because of who you are, that is name, image, and likeness because of who you are. It's worse when LSU says, hey, Caitlin, come, here's $3 million. Come play for us. There's a difference.
You've got to regulate it. And that's not an easy thing to do, but it's got to be done eventually.
All right. That's, like I said, interesting comments from Gary Gilmore. And I just love hearing coaches go off on the system because they're totally right. They know it. Everybody knows it, but they try to be nice while they're coaching because they got to deal with it right now. But really deep down, they hate it to their core. Thank you, Gary Gilmore. All right, let's get to break. Lincoln Cure is going to be in studio with us next. You're listening to the Morning Blitz.
Do you have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-230-2777. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-230-2777. That's 800-230-2777 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-230-2777. 800-230-2777.
It's time for a check of the markets with the Anderson Trade Group on the Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio Network.
Good morning. This is Kate Thompson with the Anderson Trade Group. Today is Tuesday, June 4th. And today, July corn closed lower 1 1/4 at 442 1/4. September down 1 1/4 at 448. December down 1 1/2 at 461 1/4. And March corn down 1 on the overnight at 474 1/2. July soybeans down a cent at 11.83 1/2. August unchanged at 11.82 1/2. September unchanged at 11.62. November beans down 1/4 at 11.63 1/2. Chicago wheat July contract down 3 1/2 at 669 1/4. September down 4 at 690. December down 3 at 715 1/4, and March down 2 3/4 at 733 1/4. Kansas City wheat July contract lower 4 1/4 at 695 3/4. September down 4 1/4 at 709 1/2. December down 5 at 727 3/4, and March hard wheat down 5 1/2 at 740 1/4. On the stock market this morning, the Dow down 84 at 38,569. The S&P down 15 at 5,281. The NASDAQ down 37 at 18,608. Gold lower $15.30 an ounce at 2,354. Silver down 65 cents an ounce at 30.13. And crude oil down $1.26 a barrel at 72.96. If you have any questions about marketing grain or would like to talk about risk management options, give our Colorado office a call, John Hanke at 970-744-4484, or in our Kansas City office, myself, Tom Saludo, Jared Law, or Tyler Dosh at 913-748-3000.
The Anderson Trade Group, proud market partners with Kansas Farm and Ranch Radio. Find out more at andersongrain.com. The risk of loss through trading futures and or options is substantial, and each investor and or trader must consider whether this is a suitable investment. Past performance, whether actual or indicated, is not indicative of future results. The Anderson Trade Group has no guarantee that the advice given will result in profitable trades.
There are a lot of inconsistencies when growing soybeans. The soil, the weather, the market. You need something you can count on, like Revitech fungicide from BASF. It consistently outyields other fungicides by up to 9.5 bushels per acre, consistently wins in on-farm head-to-head comparisons, and consistently makes for happy farmers. Revitech fungicide. Visit revxfields.com for full results. Always read and follow label directions. Yield data based on summary of 2019 through 2022 Revex field scale demonstration trials.
Today, we're talking with aphids and whiteflies about Safina insecticide from BASF.
We just got nailed with it.
So tell us, how you feeling?
Really, really weird.
And you still want to devour this field?
No way, bro.
There you have it, folks. Safina insecticide is specifically engineered to disorient aphids and whiteflies, so they can't eat. And when they can't eat, they can't destroy.
Help protect your sorghum from aphids with Safina insecticide. Always read and follow label directions.
The 19th annual Tri-County Cruisers Oakley Cruise In and Car Show this weekend, featuring antiques, originals, classics, rods, motorcycles, and more. Friday night, it's downtown this year in front of the United Christian Church with food available there. Saturday, in the shade by the pool, the Annie Oakley Park. You register from 9 to 11. A 50-50 cash pot, a $500 poker run. That's a big one. Vendors like including barbecue and ice cream. That's homemade. Go to discoveroakley.com or on Facebook, Oakley Tri-County Cruisers.
You're tuned in to the Morning Blitz.
All they do is sit around and talk.
On 102.5 U-Rock and the Rocking M app.
Continuing on a Tuesday morning, glad you're with us here on the Morning Blitz. The text line chiming in during the break as we continue our conversation about NIL and things of that. So we'll have to get that here coming up after our conversation with Lincoln Cure, who joins us in studio now. Good morning. How's it going?
I'm doing good. Thank you for having me.
I tell you, I know it's been a very, very busy couple of, well, why don't I just say 12 months? We were just talking about this. You said, what, 6 days to the 6 days to the year? Got your first offer?
Yeah, so I would have had my first camp at K-State on June 9th, and then I went back the next day, and that would have been my first offer, was June 10th.
So once again, Lincoln Cure joining us in studio, future senior. I guess you are a senior now. So senior at Goodland High School and one of the 5-star recruits in 24/7 Sports. How I think knowing you a little bit that you were pretty proud about being able to receive that 5th star.
Yeah, it was definitely a dream come true. I found out about it. I was kind of sitting in my parents' room, and I got a text from a coach from down in Texas A&M. He texted me, he said, "Congrats on that 5th star in 24/7." And I was kind of confused. I was like, no way. So I'm like, Mom, I think I got my 5th star. So I kind of run into the living room. I'm kind of trying to pull it up. My internet's not working well. I'm freaking out. So then I see it, and I'm jumping around. I'm so excited. So yeah, it was definitely a really special moment. So I always remember that.
No, that is pretty darn cool to be one of, at the time, 32 guys that are 5-star football recruits in the nation, which is, it's hard to almost fathom that to an extent. Think about where we are in the world, and to have that caliber is pretty darn cool.
Oh yeah. It's crazy to put that into perspective. Like, because you got these schools out there, like schools in Texas, 6A schools. That's just, they got all the talent. So yeah, to be in the position I am now, in the area I am, it's definitely special.
Can you go back and just kind of, looking back at the last 12 months, how crazy of a roller coaster ride has this been? From being a kid that was not really recruited at all to having almost every offer under the sun to play football. What has that ride been like?
It's been a roller coaster of emotions throughout the whole process. But it's been a dream come true. I appreciate every moment of it. I've got to, kind of travel the country, go to a Penn State whiteout game, go to a bunch of game day visits. So yeah, it's really been a blessing. I thank God every day. And it's been, I'm not going to say it's perfect, because it does have its moments where it did get a little overwhelming, almost 100 unread text messages on my phone, and kind of just had to devote 30 minutes to getting that done. But it has its moments, but it's really been a dream come true. I'm loving it.
Can you tell me what is the coolest experience that you've had over these last 12 months? That doesn't mean that you're going to commit to this place, but you talked about the whiteout game at Penn State. I know you've gone to Oregon, you've gone to Notre Dame. What's maybe one of the coolest or 2 coolest experiences you've taken part in?
So that Penn State whiteout game, that was definitely cool. But this year I had a really good choice of game day visits. So I went to that KU game against Oklahoma when we got to rush the field. So I got to do that. I got to rush the field, got to go in the locker room and kind of celebrate with all those guys. So that was definitely special. And then maybe the Notre Dame game was before that or after that. I'm not sure, but I think it was like in a week span or 2-week span. But then I got to rush the field with Notre Dame against USC. So I'm like, I'm running on the field. I kind of know what I'm doing, but it gets a little crazy out there. I mean, they're not joking. There's people pushing around, and like I almost went down once. I remember I was taking a video, and you can kind of see it in the bottom of the video. Some guy just comes and blows me up. It's definitely crazy, but that was definitely a really special moment.
Christian, you got anything for him here this morning?
Yeah, I'm a Michigan fan. Ross is a Nebraska fan, and so we know the Penn State whiteout game was probably pretty cool. Yeah. We're scared of it as Big Ten teams, but we have sort of seen with a couple of times we've talked about you and that sort of blowing up and people really following where you're going. Obviously, I'm over in Colby right now, but I got 2 questions for you. One, is that an Oregon shirt on? If so, is that was that a choice wearing that here? And then the second thing would be, is it odd at all just seeing like people genuinely interested in taking time out of their day to like follow and comment on posts like where this kid's going, what are you doing? And it's just your life.
Yeah, so got out of weights, went home, showered, and I just like this shirt, so that's why I put that on. But
just had to make sure.
It is. I just really like the shirt. So it's part of Oregon's kind of NIL deal. So it's called Ducks of a Feather. So the players will design shirts and clothing and stuff like that, and all their sales go straight back to the players. So I went to Oregon for that spring game. Really liked the design of the shirt, so I got it, and I like wearing it a lot. But no, it wasn't a choice. But yeah, it definitely is interesting. the amount of people that will put time into their day just to comment. And I remember at my OV in KU, all I did was I posted a picture of the stadium, my view from the Oriad Hotel in Lawrence. Posted my view of the stadium, just kind of let everybody know, I'm in KU this weekend. And then I opened my phone like 5 minutes later. We got K-State fans and in a fight with KU fans, and it's just like it's crazy. Like I'm laughing at the comments just because it's like people like trying to offend each other. Like it's not even about me no more. It's just it's about just kind of trying to tear KU and tear K-State down. Like it gets a little crazy, but yeah, it's definitely special. You'll have those people in the comments that they'll leave some nice messages and nice things about their college, but it definitely is pretty funny when people try and argue in there and stuff like that. But no, it's pretty cool.
Lincoln Cure joining us in studio, Goodland's 5-star football recruit. Once again, he's in the middle of what is official visit month is what I would call it. He'll go to Kansas State, Oregon, and Texas A&M over the next few weekends, and we appreciate you squeezing in some time with us here today. I know you're very busy, of course, with football camp and everything else going on with the high school team and weights. I was wondering, you talked about birds of the feather and NIL. How much of a conversation piece is that on recruiting visits at all institutions?
So it really depends on how much you value it as a recruit. So there is some guys that value it a lot. For me, I don't really value it at all. And coaches know that, so they won't have much of that conversation with me. I mean, obviously there is a conversation. They've explained, we know that's not why you want to come here, but we don't want it to be a reason why you don't come here. So that's kind of a conversation we have. But they usually coaches, they don't worry about it with me. But that's not the case. Unfortunately, that's not the case for other guys. So I like to be in that position where it's not really a conversation for me. I'm more worried about the culture and the program like that. But yeah, there's definitely those conversations now just because there has to be.
You've mentioned those 4 official visits that are, well, one is in the books with KU, 3 more to come. What were some of the deciding factors that helped you kind of pin down to those 4?
Yeah, so for me, obviously, I have amazing relationships with all those coaching staffs. But honestly, I made visits out to all those schools. I like Texas A&M. That wasn't even really an option for me until Colin Klein got down there. He immediately started recruiting me. It's probably for me, it's one of the biggest things is relationships, but also when I make those visits, I kind of got to get that feeling that it feels right.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what I've been basing a lot of this off of, because I did have that conversation with Coach Klein, and I think it was maybe my first visit to K-State when we had that conversation, and he just said, when it's going to be right, you just got to kind of follow your heart. So I've kind of been basing my thing off of that, and I'll just kind of trust my decision.
I do have a message. This is a text message from a listener. They were curious, Lauren had that wonderful, your sister Lauren had a wonderful write-up about, when you got your Oregon offer. Was it a dream come true to see that happen?
Oh yeah, definitely. That one was really special to me. Just because growing up a fan, if you go to my old room, I have those, I think they're called big heads, those big stickers on the
fat heads. I think is what we're talking about. Fat heads.
I have about maybe 5 or 6 fat heads of just Oregon helmets on my wall, and I have 2 Oregon helmets. I have all the shirts and jerseys in the world. So yeah, that one really was special to me. So I knew immediately that one would be really special to get to a game, kind of check that one out. And I'm really glad I did, because I really value Oregon. I love my relationships there. Coach Lanning, he's an awesome dude. Coach Maringer, the tight ends coach, is an awesome dude. So I absolutely love it there. So that one was really special to me.
What were some of the coolest people you've gotten to meet? Because to me, as a college football fan, because of you, thank you, I've got to meet Coach Rule. I didn't get to meet Coach Lanning, but I did see him up close and personal. I got to meet Colin Klein. And why can I not? Coach Elko got to meet you. And I'm just kind of like, these dudes are guys that we watch on Saturdays, roam the sidelines and call plays. And it's so unique to see them in small little Goodland, Kansas here. And it's so neat. That's my perspective. What's it like for you? And who are some of the coolest ones you've gotten to meet? Maybe even not coaches.
This process has obviously, it's brought so many people to Goodland, which has been really cool. now I don't even really consider them. I just consider them as friends. When they come
sure,
down, it's not really.
It's nothing for you anymore.
Yeah, but it's definitely special. But I'd have to say it probably wasn't. I mean, there's a lot of cool coaches. Like I really admire a lot of coaches, but I mean, when I went to Oregon, got to meet Phil Knight, so that one was definitely cool.
Cool.
That one was cool, but I mean, I didn't have the greatest experience there because that day I decided to wear my Yeezys to an Oregon game. So walking up to go take a picture with him, he says he says one word. He just says shoes. So I look down and I see my Yeezys on. I get all red. You can see in the picture I'm all nervous. But we took the picture. I just kind of laugh about it now, just because I made a bad decision that day. So I made sure the next time I went to Oregon, I had some Nikes on. Never took those off.
That's right. I think you know what you need to do there, Phil, is what I say.
Oh yeah.
Not that you can do that legally. It's a joke, but nonetheless. Lincoln Cure in studio with us. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, you have time to stick around for the final segment?
Yes, sir.
All right, Lincoln will join us for the final segment. More questions coming up with him. Lincoln Cure in studio here on a Tuesday morning on the Morning Blitz.
When you walk into your local Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, you'll see that Nick and the staff have a little bit of everything for the warmer months ahead. Keep the lawn in shape with mowers, blowers, and trimmers from Craftsman, Toro, and Ego. Freshen up the look of a room or the whole place with Benjamin Moore paints. Keep the family fed and happy with grills from Traeger, Weber, and Blackstone. And be sure to take advantage of the lower lumber prices. Plus, they're looking for people to join their amazing teams at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware, with locations in Goodland and Colby. Open every day but Sunday.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery ingestion and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the insurance agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
Asgrow XtendFlex soybean products consistently provide high yield potential through a combination of premium genetics and strong agronomic traits. Asgrow technical agronomist Holly Thrasher says those traits promote excellent emergence, pod development, and plant health.
We're focusing on bringing the highest yield potential regardless of what your yield environment is. So if you're a tough dry land, the highest yield potential that you can make in that environment, or if you're in an irrigated high yield environment where we're chasing after 100 bushel yield potential.
She says seed treatments also help improve crop performance.
One of the key benefits of the Aceleron seed applied solution seed treatments is that we're offering protection against those pesky diseases like Pythium, early season Phytophthora, Rhizoctonia, and Fusarium.
To learn more, visit asgrow.com. Read and follow pesticide label directions, grain marketing, and other stewardship practices. 2024 Bear Group, all rights reserved.
Join us Sunday, June 9th at the Oakley Pool for a dive-in movie party presented by Northwest Kansas Radio. The doors open at 5 Central, with Wish playing at 5:30 and Jaws at 7:30. An Oakley dive-in movie party Sunday, June 9th, presented in part by Pioneer Feed Yard Oakley, Jamboree Foods Oakley, Outdoor Bank, S&M Repair, Western Plains Energy, Oakley Ag Center, American Implement, Oakley Livestock, Oakley Veterinary Service, and Farm Bureau Insurance.
It's the Morning Blitz.
Hey guys, you ready to let the dogs out?
Weekday mornings from 7 to 8 Mountain, 8 to 9 Central on 102.5 U-Rock and the Rocking M app.
Continuing our conversation with Goodland's Lincoln Cure. He's in studio with us here this morning. Lincoln, it's been fun having you in. We're going to have you back out again sometime, which we'll save our big question for the walk-off for you. But nonetheless, a few more questions coming on the text line for you. One was kind of curious, older brother Leighton recently went to KU. How cool, not saying that you are, but if you were to play at KU with your brother, how cool would that be?
That would definitely be a dream come true. when he kind of entered the transfer portal, I knew I was really excited for him. I knew some opportunities were definitely going to come because I knew he had all the potential in the world. So, yeah, when he got that opportunity, I need to kind of worry about myself a little bit more. I kind of forgot about my whole process because I was so invested in his and just worrying about him. I was asking him questions every day. I bet he got a little bit tired of me because I was probably asking more questions than the coaches and stuff like that. So, yeah, that was definitely special for me for him to get that opportunity, and that would be a dream come true to play with him. But yeah, I mean, I joke with him. I say I don't. Because we've been competing our whole lives. I'm like, I don't really want to play with you. I'd rather just keep the competition going and play against you somewhere. So we just kind of laugh about that. But maybe it is time for us to play together finally. But we'll just have to see.
Yeah, we'll have to see. That's for sure. Christian, you got another question? Looks like for him.
I do. Lincoln, there's sort of this idea looking around that you've gone on all these official visits and these tours, and I think when Ross and I or at least when I toured colleges, it was probably a very different experience. Can you sort of walk us through what an official visit looks like? And then you said you have this, you're looking for a feeling, like I just know when I'm in the right place. Are you worried at all that with, I'm sure, all of the hoopla that comes with an official visit, that you're, not getting like a true picture of what the college is like?
Yeah, so an official visit is basically just a jam-packed visit. Like you'll start at 8:30 in the morning. You'll eat breakfast somewhere, and then it's kind of straight to meetings. So you'll have a nutrition meeting, academics meeting, player development. You'll have an individual meeting with the coach, going over film. You'll have a meeting with the head coach, strength and conditioning. I mean, and each one of those meetings probably goes for an hour or more. So definitely gets a little exhausting sometimes. I kind of catch myself dazing off sometimes a little bit, kind of check myself just because it's full day. You almost need some downtime. But
Coach, can we get a nap time in here for 30
yeah,
minutes?
Yeah. Usually they'll schedule a downtime, but usually they'll go an hour over that. So you never really get that downtime. But yeah, so for me, yeah, official visits can definitely be deceiving, but I know what I'm looking for. I know that a lot of colleges kind of try and do that. It's like just the razz and dazzle, all that. But no, I definitely check myself, and I let my faith lead me, and I just trust myself to make the right decision.
Lincoln Cure in studio. Track and field was a great year for you this year. Winning the 300 hurdles again, winning the 110s. How successful a year was it for you? Were you left a little disappointed?
Yeah, it was a successful year. But no, I can't sit here and say I'm satisfied. I was definitely disappointed in myself that I didn't get those records. Well, the state records, I got the school records, which I was pretty happy with. But I'm just happy I have another year to go back and try again. But yeah, I just barely missed that 110 record, and then 300s is a little different. I mean, I think 0.8 or something off of that, which isn't too much. That 300s is different. Anything can happen there. So it's maybe I go over one hurdle a little better than, maybe I don't stutter. Anything could really happen.
It'd be help
there,
if you had some guy running alongside you.
Yeah, I also thought about that as maybe I just need somebody out in front of me.
Can someone come help me, please?
Yeah.
Can someone just push me a little bit?
Yeah, it was kind of like that all year. I think I'd probably pass him on that third hurdle, which is the first curve. So I'd have 200 meters running by myself, kind of just pushing myself. But no, I was definitely a little disappointed that I didn't get those records, but it's I think it's better I have that motivation to go get it next year.
You talk about next year and being in track and field. And so how much do coaches talk with you about because the big thing now is, especially if you're a big time football recruit, are you going to come in, after winter break? Are you going to come in the first of the year? Because kids can do that now, but it sounds like that's not going to be an option for you. I didn't think it would be, but I didn't.
Yeah, so obviously that's a conversation with coaches that you have. Every coach has kind of brought it up, just asking me the question, but people kind of think that coaches value that a lot more than they actually do. So when I kind of told them, I'm in a different position. I love to give back to my community. It's a small town. We're not one sport athletes here. I do everything I can. So I love to give back to my teammates and everything like that. So they definitely understand that. And they'll even kind of have that conversation. They kind of think that that's a little better going through your whole senior year, because graduating early, you just have that spring ball, which is, I think I think Coach Klein told me, which is probably 1,500 more reps than usual. So obviously you'll get a little bit of a head start. But that doesn't mean in my position, because I will commit I'll commit before my senior year. So I can obviously just devote that whole senior year to learning the playbook, doing reps by myself, doing the strength and conditioning program. So it's not like it gives you a crazy head start. Obviously it does a little bit, but it doesn't matter as much as some people think.
Christian, you got anything else for him real quickly here? Or are you all satisfied?
No, I was actually going to ask about if you had a time in mind for when you were going to commit, but you just said before the summer's out.
Yeah. So my goal is to commit before my senior year, just so I can kind of devote that whole senior year to preparing myself to be there in June, because I won't be there early. So haven't officially scheduled a date. I need to kind of sit down and do that when I have some time. Don't have much of that, but yeah, I'll need to just schedule a date. But yeah, I'd like to get it done before my senior year.
One more before we get to the walk-off. You have 3 more official visits. Is there any chance that you could add another one, or are you kind of set on these 3? What are the 4 you have? I don't know how I think the recruiting window closes, but I could be wrong on that. You'd know more than me.
So yeah, you can schedule another OV, I believe. It's just kind of tough to schedule more than 4. If you do more than 4, or I guess 5, maybe it's harder to do more than 5, because schools, they have maybe 3 weekends devoted to OVs. So I remember when I had Penn State scheduled as an OV, the 3 I had scheduled was K-State, Oregon, and Penn State, which all those weekends, I believe, were I think they might have been Texas A&M OVs. So I wouldn't have been able to go to Texas A&M OV unless I scheduled one in the middle of the week, and that's different because you won't have guys around, you won't have the other recruits around, and that's the majority of kind of what they like, is just for you to be around other guys. So it's hard to do more than 5, just because schools kind of have weekends devoted to OVs. But yeah, I just kind of thought about that. I'd scheduled mine pretty well, and I think it's pretty organized, so we'll just stick with it.
All right, let's get to the walk-off.
A 3-run walk-off home run, a game-winning walk-off with a walk-off.
His second walk-off hit of the season.
In walk-off fashion, that baby's go.
Well, Lincoln, if you would be so obliged, we would love to have you back on the show sometime throughout the summer. We'd love to talk more about the high school football season and stuff more on the local side, but it was just kind of interesting to dive in for these last 30 minutes talking about college football recruiting. We do have one big question to ask, and you can think about it before you let us know. We were curious how would you feel about announcing your commitment on the Blitz sometime in the morning?
So
you don't have to answer now. You can think on it.
It could be a possibility. But I've had a lot of people reach out to me. They like, since the platform that I have now, they like 24/7 ESPN on 3 Sports. They like to do it on kind of national television. So would like to do that. That's always been a dream come true to, kind of have
pick out the hats.
Have those hats.
Yeah.
I won't be a guy that's always trying to trick everybody. It'll be one hat. But I'd love to do that. But that, if the Morning Blitz could possibly figure out a little streaming service for that day, that'd be nice. But I'll probably do it. I bet it'll be somewhere, but it'll probably be on national television, I guess, probably.
That'll be pretty darn cool.
Yeah, I'd like to come here after it and kind of talk things over, and that'd be cool.
We would take that. I would take a backseat to that. That'd be cool. If you want to come after and talk about it, that'd be awesome, buddy. Hey, we appreciate the time. Thank you so much for squeezing us in. I know you're very, very busy with official visits and football camp and all that stuff. So good luck this summer with the weights program and the Cowboys, and we'll catch up down the summer, all right?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Once again, Lincoln Cure in studio. For Christian, I'm Ross. Thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you back here again tomorrow.